This is a problem. If I ever want to build a project with Lego bricks, I have to go through about 30 of these containers just like this to find the piece that I need, and it doesn't work. And actually, I've made a Lego sorter before. It works really well, but it's way too small and it's made to mount to the side of the table. So today, we're gonna make a new Lego sorter that can hold a whole lot of bricks and is way better. So the way that most Lego sorters work, and this is how my other one worked as well, is that you have a series of filters. You've got these plates with holes in them, biggest holes at the top, smallest holes at the bottom. So when you pour bricks in, all the tiny pieces fall through all the holes till they get to the bottom surface, and then the next biggest pieces, and the next biggest pieces, and then you've got all the big plates and stuff at the top. And usually this is so that they are sifted out into individual trays for each kind of size of piece. I first saw this whole process from Pete223 on Instagram. He's awesome, you should definitely go check him out because he makes some really cool stuff. But one of the things he makes is a big Lego sorter. It's basically like a really big box with a bunch of trays in it, and you can roll it around and sift it, and then you take each tray off and it's got pieces in it. And while it works great and looks really nice too, I've got some different requirements for mine. So I've decided to come up with my own design that doesn't have to sit on the floor. So my plan is to make something that's small enough to sit on a table, but big enough to be able to handle a pretty good amount of bricks, and also dump them into containers that I already have. Plus, I think it'd be a bonus if I could make it repeatable, so I could either maybe sell plans or sell a kit to you if you want to make one of these for yourself. If you want to, let me know down in the comments, we'll see. So I went to the whiteboard, came up with a bunch of ideas, and most of them are not great, but one was kind of cool. What if it was a tumbler and each one of these sides had different size holes in it? I think that would be kind of cool, although it would do it in the wrong order, so I abandoned that one. Then I thought about, what if it's a container that has a replaceable filter sifter thing in it, so you can change out the size of hole in a single container? But you need to be able to shake it back and forth or flip it over. So eventually I ended up on this one. Basically you have a container that you can dump stuff into on the top. It has a filter on the bottom that can be slid out so you can change the size of hole, and it's on a pivot point so you can spin it like this to sift the pieces out. They will fall down into a tray that you can slide out and dump into your own big trays of like-sized pieces. And this entire thing is held between two uprights so it can sit on a table. I think I've got it. I'm gonna go to Fusion and then we can laser cut some test pieces. I designed this whole thing in Fusion, and I've been cutting out test pieces on the Glowforge out of MDF just to be able to make sure that everything fits. But the design was a little bit different for me because I was trying to think of it as if I was gonna have to make this 100 times or 1,000 times rather than once. And that really does change how you design something. For example, this whole thing's gonna go together with like tab and slot joinery, I guess you would call it. I've got these little tabs that are gonna go into a slot to hold it together. And the length of this tab is based on the thickness of this material. Now, I'm testing with MDF, but eventually I wanna do this out of acrylic because it just looked cooler if you could see all the bricks on the inside and you could etch cool things on the outside and use different color acrylic. But right now, I'm doing it all out of MDF so I can do quick, cheap testing, and I think I've got a prototype ready. And this is my prototype. I've got the top panel, the side panels. This is the insert that'll eventually have a whole bunch of holes in it, and I 3D printed the sides. I wanted to 3D print this piece just because, I don't know, I wanted the detail, the little inset and the raised logo, and it's super smooth on the back, but this piece took 4 hours, and I had to do one for each side. If I had laser cut this out of acrylic, it would have looked great, been done in a few minutes, and the only downside would be that all of these holes at the top would go all the way through, which is not a big deal. Okay, so here's the plan with this thing. This is the box. It will be mounted on these pivot points right here in something so that it can spin like this. So basically it will sit here, you dump your bricks in, then you take one of these filters that'll have a whole bunch of holes in it, like that. It slides in here and then fits into the fingers at the end, and it's locked in place. Then you just shake it a whole bunch and all the little pieces fall out of the holes. Then you just slide the filter out, swap it for one with slightly bigger holes, put it back in, sift it again. You just work your way through all the filters until the last pieces inside the container are just the really big ones and you can just dump them out. I think this works as a prototype, but I've got to figure out the size of holes, how many filters I want to have, and I've got to figure out how to mount this whole thing in something that will allow it to pivot. So first off, let's figure out the holes. Those sifter insert things are all designed and ready to be cut out of the acrylic that just showed up, but unfortunately I've got a little problem. So I modeled and 3D printed these pieces to work with this 1/8 inch MDF, and they fit perfectly. They go right in there, it's nice and tight, but unfortunately the MDF and the acrylic are not both 1/8 of an inch. In fact, this one is 0.125 and this one is 0.114, which is a lot less. And these pieces just do not fit. So I'm gonna have to modify my side panels, re-3D print them, that's another 8 hours, and then I'm gonna have to do test fits before I can actually cut these pieces out. Now I'm ready to finally cut out my little filter insert pieces, and for those I ordered a bunch of sheets of this different colored acrylic. It was like a multi-pack with a bunch of different colors, and I used these dimensions to make the piece in Fusion, which is this piece. But I didn't actually add any extra, so it turns out that I've got about that much extra material, so I have to be very specific about where the laser goes. So here's what I did. I measured this piece of acrylic, then I cut that shape out of a piece of MDF that's locked in place, and then I scored the size that I actually need to make sure that it's gonna line up in that material. So now I've got like a template area where I can drop in my piece of acrylic, cut that outline in the exact place in the software, and it should end up with just a little bit around the outside. Let's find out. Talk about the skin of your teeth. Look at how much waste I have on this piece. I mean, doesn't get a lot better than that. All right, so I'm still shooting this video, which means we haven't edited it yet, so I have no idea how long you've been watching, but I would imagine it's probably 3-4 minutes, something like that. Well, I've been working on this project solid for like 6 days. Now, the first couple days of that were just design. Lots of time in Fusion trying to figure stuff out, and then I would change it and then modify it. And then I finally got to laser cutting and more laser cutting. Then I started doing tolerance testing. And then a whole bunch of 3D printing. Then some more laser cutting. Then even more laser cutting. But I think I finally got enough pieces that we can assemble the box to see if this idea is even gonna work. Okay, so the fit on those pieces turned out great. I'll probably put some acrylic cement to bind these two edges together so that they don't flex, but for now, I just need to test it. The fit on these pieces is fantastic. It was absolutely worth the effort. This thing is held together really tightly, and the inserts come in and out really easily, so it's pretty nice. Except that I realized choosing orange for the end kind of clashes with different colors. So if I were gonna print these again, which I'm not, I would make the ends white or black or something so that this color could really stand out. Now, we have the container, we have the sifter, but it needs to be held on a table so that we can actually test it out. So next up, we need to make some stands that go on the ends. And finally, I get to use some woodworking tools. This video is sponsored by KiwiCo, and you've probably heard that name before because over the years, I've told you about how my kids got Kiwi crates several times. In fact, they got Kiwi crates, Doodle crates, Tinker crates, and those are all for younger kids with different interests. But in each one of the crates, they got a complete project with everything they needed, plus a magazine with all the instructions and a bunch of extra information about the project. Well, my kids are not young anymore, so we've had to move up to Eureka crates. And in the most recent one, we got to make a complete working set of headphones. This is a legitimate electronics project. And these crates are aimed at ages 14 up to 104, so that includes a lot of different age groups. Again, everything we needed to make these headphones was in this box, and it just showed up at the house. It's very, very cool. Whether you've got a kid in your life or you just like to have projects show up at your door, the crates from KiwiCo are a fantastic way to have projects delivered right to you. With a yearly subscription, each one of these crates is around 20 bucks, but that can get even cheaper if you go down in the description, you click the link, and then you use our code MAKESTUFF. That's gonna give you 50% off the first crate. With the holidays coming up, this is a great gift that you can give to a kid in your life or to a kid in your life. Either way. Invest in somebody in your life or in yourself, that's cool too. Go down, hit that link, and use the code MAKESTUFF, and big thanks to KiwiCo for sponsoring this video. So now you can probably see how this thing's gonna work. You dump in the bricks into this part, you put in the filter, you flip it over, and then you shake it. But right now, all those bricks would just fall down onto this board, so I need to go model a tray that will fit in here to catch the bricks as they're being sifted out. I think it's done. And now we just gotta try it. I'm very happy that I spent the time coming up with a new design for this thing because honestly, it just works way better than my original one. It's easier to use, it's nice to have it on the table, plus it holds a lot more bricks, which is really handy. And there's tons of room for improvement. I've already thought of ways to make it stronger and easier to build and maybe better looking. And that got me thinking, would you be interested in one of these? Like a completed thing, or maybe a kit, or maybe plans to build your own? If any of those are interesting, let me know down in the comments because we might be able to make something like that happen. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Now it's time for bloopers. That can hold a whole bunch of bricks and is way better. Then, when you're done, you slide out the filter. Oh boy, the whole thing came apart because it's not glued. That's not gonna work. Ah, oh no! And these pieces slide in and out. No doy, Bob.